Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy 14th. We have about 2.5 weeks till the end of this year, 2025. And wow. So today I want to talk about that something shifted, right? Something shifted, and what I want to do is walk through how to recognize what that might be because it's invisible, it's affecting us, and it's important. So this week, it feels quiet in a very strange way. So I'm doing some remodeling around or construction actually, to dry out the foundation of my house and whatnot. And I noticed that it's settled, but it's very strange because the house isn't the same that it was before. And what I would say is that we, during all of this, are not the same anymore either. It's not calm, but something moved. So many of you have been talking to me, calling, texting, putting messages in Patreon, comments on the videos, right? That you're feeling tired in a way that sleep doesn't quite fix it. And I thought, yeah, that's probably the best way to describe this is that something shifted and I'm exhausted, but in a weird way because no matter how much I sleep, it doesn't get better. It's just different, right? I'm less interested in explaining myself. I'm less motivated by the things that matter. I'm more inward. I'm a heck of a lot more observant, right? It's like my spidey senses are wide awake and I'm just seeing patterns and codes all around all the time, right? So if that's you, I want to start saying there's nothing wrong. And we know this, there's nothing wrong. We're moving through a moment after a shift, and those are often the hardest to name. So, this moment, whether it was through solar flares, whether it was through the plasma energy wave that came in the intense geomagnetic storms, whether it was a 1212 portal, I'm not really sure what it is. But the one thing I do know that I'm going to keep putting my finger on is that Neptune is at 29 degrees Pisces. It's direct now. On Wednesday, it went direct at 29 degrees. And we've talked about this aneretic. We've talked about the big lessons that come, the huge lessons that come with Neptune, right? So Neptune's been in Pisces for 14 years. This is almost an entire generation, right? Of dissolving boundaries, dissolving spiritual projections, longing for something different, putting people on, in savior roles, in prophets, in guru roles, and also borrowing meaning from other people. Like, oh, I like those words; they resonate with me, as opposed to sort of finding our own. Right. So at 29 degrees, the final degrees, Neptune doesn't teach anymore. It mirrors. And that's the most important thing to think about. When you're not used to being around mirrors, when somebody is reflecting back to you what you're holding, life gets really interesting, right? So Fida Fidel said it so clearly. This is the moment when you project it onto the veil. Everything that you projected onto the veil is reflected back at you. So you can finally remove it. It was like, oh, when I'm snarky, I get snarky back. When I'm aloof, I get aloof back. When I have judgment in my eyes, I get judgment back. So for many people, this feels like the crisis of faith. Like the world is different. It doesn't work. It's not the same anymore. Rituals feel empty. Mantras stop working, and the magic seems to be gone. Yet this isn't a loss. This is when we step into a different level of sovereignty. And I have these beautiful, it's almost, this is from the Rumi Oracle card, right? Or Oracle deck. And here's this one. Replenishment with grace, right? This is where you just sort of like go, I don't even know what to do because my body and the water, I'm seeing reflections everywhere, especially in the water, especially with the flooding that's been happening in Pacific Northwest, in British Columbia, in Montana. This isn't random symbolism. Water is showing up every place where containment has failed. That's really an interesting statement where containment has failed. Emotionally, many of us are feeling the same way. So then we have this other one, which is when the water starts really showing up inside of us. Like, I love these cards. They're so dramatic and so different, right? Zachary Fisher said that this is the kind of tired that comes from holding yourself together for a long time, from being strong, from adapting. Slower doesn't mean stuck, and numb doesn't mean disconnected. It means your body is catching up to a truth your mind hasn't yet named. So he has the ability to put his finger on something that I wanted to be able to make sure that I brought to your attention, which is that we have been holding ourselves together for over a decade. We've been navigating through water and the tides and the up and down and the waves, and it's been a challenge. That's probably the best way to put it. It's been the biggest challenge we've ever faced in our lives, especially for those of us who are in our 60s, right? We've had decades where we weren't under this kind. For those of you who are young, it's kind of like, so this might be life. And I'm telling you, as of January 26th, when Neptune goes into Aries, it's going to be very different. So, speaking of some of the young ones, I ran across Laura, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. It's Ecochega, something like that. Laura Ecochega, I'm gonna say. She's on Instagram. She's 31. She's young. She's fast. You can tell that she's working with AI. She's working with constructs. She's working with being able to see right through some of the layers. And she runs these TikTok and Instagram reels that are fast and the deepest thing I've ever come across. Yeah. Well, I don't bring people onto this space lightly. Her language caught my attention. Some of the words that she was saying, I was like, whoa, wait, whoa. I had to like stop and listen to what she said. And she described this moment that we just had as a timeline reorganization, a governance transfer where false authority collapses and embodied authority comes online. And I was like, wow, that's a very good way to explain it, right? Where governance has been transferred out of the falsities and into the embodied. And she spoke about this shift happening across three layers: the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual. And what sort of struck me most is that people rooted in distortion are losing their ability to hide. And if you've been watching the back channels and you've been watching the back and forth, and if you've spent any time watching Candace Owen, just like a woman with a bone in her mouth about the truth, it's like you just can't hide when she goes after something. And I thought, oh, this is what this is looking like. And then I'm seeing it in various stages all around me. And people who are rooted in truth, this is what Laura's saying, are also accelerating and not quietly, just shoom, accelerating. And I would put myself in that category. It's like the weight is off my shoulder, my eyes are clear, I'm excited, and it's like, what are we going to talk about? And this is Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. So the big question is how would you know a shift is happening, right? If something truly shifted, you wouldn't necessarily feel excited. You wouldn't get like a marker that said everything before that is different and everything after is different. You wouldn't be able to sort of put your finger on it, but you would feel clear, and you might even feel lonelier because or quieter because it's like boom, all of the noise, all of the distractions, all of the people that irritated you sort of fall away. And this may be more resolute for you. It might be what you were looking for. And it also, I am a extrovert, and I have spent the last 2+ years being very quietly introverted at home. And I'm like, how am I surviving? Because I've always been so overly social, and yet I'm happier than I've ever been. It's a very strange, and it's sort of like cha-chunk, cha-chunk, just sort of keeps falling in that this is who I am, and I'm enjoying my company, my own company, and maybe all of that other stuff was part of the pattern of covering up. what was trying to come out from underneath. That's what I would say. So when these shifts happen, when these energy pulses happen, when the plasma sort of comes in and starts to recalibrate, we're less willing to perform. We're less able to tolerate which once passed as normal. Like, how many people can I meet in one day and talk, 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 talk? And if you go back and look at my earlier videos, you'll see how fast I talked and how much information I just dumped out there really fast, right? The other thing is that our nervous system, they want to sort things before your story does. It's like your nervous system is kind of going like, whoa, I'm like 20 steps ahead of you, girl. And I'm trying to sort things out and you're trying to attach a story to it. So just like stop that. So we don't want to rush to validate what we're feeling when we notice this. We're clearer, maybe quieter, less willing to perform. What we want to do is we want to validate it. We want to adapt first and then validate, right? So I have some tips, 6 tips for you today. And on those tips, before I go to those tips, I want to talk about Patreon because it's a very different experience than what these videos are. It's a posting gathering place where everybody can just share what they're reading. And then on Tuesdays, we do a discussion. And we did this discussion this last Tuesday of what happens when our warrior energy, our mental acuity, our sword, and I use the Prince of Swords as the example, right? Meets the Neptune oracle, the deep one within, and sort of, and I use the image of the sword dropping into the water. So it was amazing. And then we had these questions that just took us through and shared them with each other. And so if this is something that you're interested in, it's a way of connecting with other souls who are in the same journey as you are. Consider joining the Patreon. You can join the discussions for $11 a month, and I would love to have you there. And we are so excited with some of the new faces that are coming. So think about that. The connection or the link is down below. All right, so 6 tips. Let's get on to the practical part of what to do. Like, how do you know when the shift is happening, or what do you do? Because we're sort of hanging out there going, I noticed everything changed, Denise. Yeah. However, what do I do? So the first tip that I would say is don't rush to name it. Don't go, oh, that was the 2012 20, or excuse me, the 1212 portal, or that was the plasma field, or that was what Alexander Quinn said is this. Don't rush to name it. Let the sensation sort of come over you and exist without interpretation. Try to take someone else's words off of it, including mine. These are just some random gatherings that I'm having that this week and that I'm noticing within those that I communicate with. And I thought I'd bring them to you, but you need to be able to name them, interpret them yourself. So that's number 1. Don't rush to name what you're feeling. Number 2, notice what no longer holds energy. Now, Alan Seal is a transformational presence coach, and his line was always follow the energy. And if there's no energy, don't go anywhere. If nothing catches your attention, settle and be at peace. And I'm noticing that that was awesome when I was navigating. Now it's like looking for where the little bubbles of energy are. The presence matters more than the speed at this work, at the work this week, right? So notice what no longer has energy, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing, or a food you're eating, or the way that your room is decorated. Like if it doesn't work for you, just notice that. This is all information, right? It's information, not failure. So, well, next, the third one is that we want to slow down our decisions, right? But not our awareness. We want our awareness to expand, right? We want to be able to take in everything we're seeing and then slow down the decisions like, I don't know what I want to do yet. Because presence is not going to be rushed. Presence has to expand. And then when you think I've got it, give it a little bit more time. And it's like, oh, I have it now. Oh, different levels are coming out. So slow down your decisions and sort of focus on your awareness, not the mental, like I need this to fit in that category so I can move on. Slow it all down. Number 4, simplify your physical environment. That's going to be schedules. That's going to be commitments. That's going to be workload. That's going to be errands. That's going to be, phone calls. That's going to be everything that you're required to do right now in these last 2.5 weeks of December, which is all holiday oriented, all just a bunch of, we've talked about this before, a lot of distractions. And some of us are going, I don't know why I don't want to do that anymore. I don't even want to put up my tree. I don't want to. And with the beginning of Hanukkah, with the Christmas traditions, with all of these pieces that are starting to come together, what you want to do is you want to simplify your physical environment because your nervous system needs as few inputs as possible because your nervous system is what is being activated. Now on Patreon, I shared a video by Jody, I think it's Jody Jones on Instagram, and she listed out that our nervous systems are definitely agitated and definitely under attack. And so there's certain supplements that she's been giving, and it was zinc, and it was lemon balm, and it was B12, and it was golden seal in order to keep the nervous system more balanced and more stable, right? Number 5, choose resonance over reassurance. This is huge. Seek out those who don't need convincing. As a teacher, as a coach, as someone who's been on a mission to sort of teach parenting differently, to save someone from the mistakes I made, right? Or we all make, right? Is there was a lot of chasing or convincing or hoping someone understood why I like tarot, why I read, why I do these shows, why I live where I live, like whatever, right? So I want to spend time with people who get it. Don't you? Choose resonance in the people, places, and things you surround yourself who don't need to be pushed or convinced or sold. And number 6, practice compassion, especially for yourself. We're always going to end these tips with compassion because it's unfamiliar territory. Gentleness, stabilizes integration much more faster than control. And so when we're compassionate, we step out of judgment, we step into gentleness, and we stabilize, and we can integrate and calm our nervous system. Or we can calm our nervous system down. It comes first, and then we can integrate. So practice compassion. That's the doorway into all of this. So, to bring this to a close, with the Sagittarius New Moon on the 19th, it's also coinciding with the 3-1 Atlas, closest space to this Earth on the 19th as well. We're not being asked to understand everything. We aren't being, check, step by step, outlined what's coming. What we're being asked to do is to orient ourselves into these new unknown spaces and see what we feel, see what we notice, see what works for us as we breathe, right? So let's take one big breath together right now. Not to find the answers, but to feel where we are. And that's all we need to do today. That's enough. So I have a journal prompt for you, and I'm going to speak it here. I'm going to put it in the description, and then I'm going to put it in the comments so you have a chance to find it. So basically, what feels different in me now? Even if I don't have the words for it yet, what feels different? Even though I don't have the words. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next Sunday or Tuesday at Patreon. Take care. Bye.